This is budget update number 2. We certainly, I think, heard some complaints around budget time last time that we need to keep everyone informed, so I sort of took that as my job. So I thought I'd tell y'all where we are with the budget conference. And let me try to sort of set the stage, first of all, by saying that we felt very strongly as House conferees we had to deal with the revenue issues first. As a matter of fact, the Senate has over $600 million in their budget, both of fees and of basically revenue assumptions, and also things like Sunday opening of ABC stores and more ABC stores that get them a lot more revenue than we do. And to be frank, it's a lot easier to fund things like K-12 and healthcare and sheriffs if you have frankly, a structurally unbalanced budget that has about $600 million worth of revenue that I think largely you can't account for. So we basically said we thought that had to be the biggest issue going forward. I stood on this floor on Friday and told you that the House was about to make a significant offer. As a matter of fact, if you'd read Saturday's RTD, it said basically that the House makes high-dollar concessions. Let me tell you what those were. We went to about $76 million worth of fees, ones we thought that had a very tight nexus and paid for a service, but a very, very big concession. As you know, we had $165 million in our budget for revenue reserve. And anyone that's been around this place the last 3 years knows that that probably isn't even enough. We agreed to come down to $100 million on our reserve amount. A lot of you have talked about VRS. And as you know, we funded the basic rate, and the Senate basically funded 20% of the unfunded liability. We went to their position on that particular issue. And so we really felt like that's the type of offer out of the box that will get this thing rolling. We had a Tuesday deadline to meet. We were serious about that. And so we felt like, well, it's Friday, around 1 o'clock. Probably take you 2 or 3 hours to get back. And so we asked the Senate to do that. And they said, well, we don't think we can possibly get back to you till Sunday. And we said, Sunday? I mean, how long can it take? And they just insisted. They couldn't get back to Sunday at 1 o'clock. So we said, could you at least give us a proposal at 1 o'clock? And they said, yeah. So we got there early on Sunday and waited. And 1 o'clock passed, and 1:10 passed, and 1:15 passed, 1:30, 1:45. By the way, they showed up at 2:22. The reason I know that, Mr. Speaker, is I won the poll, which was, I had 2:30, and I think someone else had 2:15. So when the Senate finally shows up, we really were expecting a good faith offering. Let me tell you what we got. We got, number one, nothing on fees. They didn't take one fee off the table. They did say they would be willing to negotiate a few of them. On the revenue reserve, we got absolutely nothing. On the VRS, they accepted our position. Of course, that was helpful since it was their position. On furloughs, they basically, I think it's one of the only concessions they made. They said they would come down 1 day on their furloughs. If you recall, they had, I think, 1 day in 10, 3 days in 11, and 3 days in 12, and they would come down 1 day. And let me just briefly sidetrack on furloughs, because I don't think we've talked about them enough. We have said from the beginning in the House Appropriations Committee, that's just bad policy. And let me tell you why. I thought you were going to say why. Thanks. I hesitated for that. The reason why is because any agency that goes 24/7 has to pay overtime to basically make up for those furloughs, especially your mental health agencies that have your training centers. And as a matter of fact, we calculated they have to pay $340,000 a day in overtime wages to basically make up for the furlough. Please remember, some of those positions are federal positions. And the federal government's not real happy when you're basically furloughing employees they are paying for. Go to your colleges. How do you furlough professors that are teaching? How do you furlough food service workers? Do you not eat 1 day? And if you think about it, with tuition going up, I'm not real happy if I'm a parent and I'm basically not getting fed, or my college professor is not showing up 1 day. So, of course, we thought that was not much of an offer. And so we responded. And by the way, I want you to know we responded at 5 o'clock. So it took us about 2.5 hours to respond. And basically, we came back and we told the Senate that we had made the serious offer the first time. And we simply weren't going to go any further in fees, et cetera. We did make some offers as far as K-12. They'd actually taken out school bus replacement at Eminent Scholars. And then the Senate came back once again with a very, very mediocre offer. And the reason why I try to bring you up to date on all that is because we're really at the point now where the House feels very strongly that we've made a very genuine offer. We basically got nothing back from the Senate. Not one fee. And I do want to briefly address some of their fees because I think they're interesting. One of their fees, and we talked about this in the House, is property and casualty insurance, tuned by $66 million. Only one problem with that fee. The Senate bill they put in didn't get out of committee, but they want to include that in their budget. Another fee is E-9111. You've heard a lot about that. I think there have been some commercials run about that. That failed in House Appropriations. And then there is the famous, I think, civil court fee bill, which raises about $101 million. In that bill, if we allowed that thing to go through, and listen to this for a second, it would basically change General District Court from $27 to $75 to file. Now, I asked my good friend, the lawyer from Portsmouth, Delegate Joanna, well, do you pay any local fees in Portsmouth? And, of course, he gave me this 30-minute answer about all the fees they pay, but I tried to boil it down. It's about $41 you have to pay in local fees, and then he talked about if you have to do garnishments and interrogatories and all these fancy legal terms. But in other words, you're now going to have to pay in Portsmouth something on the order of $120 to go to court. So if you're a small business, a florist, basically, and you're trying to collect a bill for $40 or $50, why would you ever go into court again? Those fees are outrageous. If you look at the fees they're charging for circuit court, they double and triple. And so here's where we are, Mr. Speaker. The bottom line is we feel like we've made a very, very good offer. We're not going to negotiate against ourselves. I want to be clear about that. The ball is now in the Senate court. I hope they'll respond with something serious this afternoon.